Comedy shows are not just about humor, it's the genre that makes you cry and laugh at the same time. And comedy shows teach you the power of relationships, the power of belonging. They teach you how people find themselves and how they grow and thrive through relationships. It shows human relationships as these messy, imperfect connections where we disagree. Our relationships get damaged, but then we choose to reunite and then work together to become better. In Modern Family, all families connect not only at Christmas and Thanksgiving, but at every family celebration as well as every tragedy. It's that feeling of, I'm here to support you through it. I do want to say something important here. This family connectedness is generally a feature of collectivist cultures, right? But in Modern Family, we see a different side of that. In collectivist cultures, although this value of family connectedness is there, it's easy for them to blur the lines between the family and individuality, which can negatively affect a person who's trying to build their own identity. And we do need to create our autonomous identity that's different from the family in order to thrive and grow. More than most, they tend to not understand boundaries. It becomes intrusive rather than loving. And people get lost in the family, their emotions, their interests, and path, and tend to lose themselves in the family expectations. If you look at Modern Family and almost all of the comedy shows I've mentioned in this video, we don't see any of the characters merge or enmesh with the others. We see all of them evolve through connection, but they grow individually to their own paths. I think that's through true support, helping someone find themselves by giving your support in a relationship, not forcing your way on them or encouraging them to be another replica of you, but genuinely providing a secure base so that they can explore and find themselves. Jay represents the emotionally avoidant father, right? And having a son who's also gay made it difficult for him to truly come to terms with the fact that his traditional expectations for a son will not be met. He wanted a son who is more rugged and masculine, so to speak. And before Mitchell's wedding, Jay asks him, why are you even having this wedding? And somehow Jay tries to make it up for Mitch by first saying that several times. And at the end of season 5, we see Jay giving Mitchell the wedding of his dreams and also walking Mitch down the aisle. So we really see how Jay chose his son over his pride. Claire has an issue with getting familiar, like getting close to Alex. And at one point, Claire says that she can just talk to Haley about things, but Alex is more distant. But Claire keeps trying. It's literally like each episode reminds us that no matter what happens, this is our family. And that family is also not just about blood ties, Cam has a connection with Mitch's side of the family even more than his own family. Jay and Manny are not biologically related, but Jay still welcomes Manny as his own. And these families are tied with deep loyalty. When I was watching Schitt's Creek, I felt deeply for David. Imagine growing up with Moira. Moira doesn't model strength or emotion regulation in the way she deals with negative feedback or failure or just a problem in general. It's not healthy. She either gets in the closet or gets defensive. Although Schitt's Creek brings it as a comical effect as a child in real life, David has been traumatized. So has Alexis. And I think to cope with the lack of actual emotional connection, they have channeled their emotions from desiring deep human connection to more material things. I mean, we all love material things, but in this case, it was a bit too much and a bit shallow. But if you look at it closely, David sort of had to take more responsibility and fill in for their parents' roles. He says that he was the one who had to, do things for Alexis when Alexis went missing. And that kind of burden takes a toll on a child. Even if they're an adolescent, we can see that from David having a panic attack days after they had lost money, like they had to move out from their mansion. He's the one I think was affected the most, I think had the most trouble adjusting and coping with it, but he is not very expressive about it. And that's why I love the ending for David on the show. He got to experience the secure base or the secure love he's always needed. The secure base is usually a significant attachment figure that is predictable, consistent, loving, emotionally regulated, a secure figure. Having a secure base gives you the reassurance that you need. When you are threatened or you feel unsafe, you can turn to this person, and that doesn't change even if you go out and explore other things. Like you go out to play, you explore your interests, to learning, nothing really changes that because it's stable. That person will still be there when you come back. You go out to explore yourself, right? You go out, create a career for yourself, and when you look back, oh, they're still there. You make a weird sound, you dress a bit weird, and you look back to see if they're still there. And they're still there. They haven't abandoned you. And that's new news to the brain with attachment wounds. As children, when we saw a threat to a relationship with someone close, they neglected your needs, or there was conflict, or when you expressed your pain, they were judgmental and invalidating, you internalized it in some form. According to the attachment theory, they treated you well and was responsive to your needs. You started to internalize the idea that you are worthy of love and responsive care. And you will be willing to seek support, and you believe that no matter what, you will receive the support that you need, however, or like whenever. On the other hand, if you had a caregiver who did not respond consistently, or they tend to neglect you or your needs and invalidate your experiences, you will internalize the idea, I am not worthy of love or responsive care, or I will be rejected if I seek support, so I should not seek support, and anyway, people won't respond to me even if I do seek support. So you will either not seek support and try to do everything on your own and be hyper dependent, avoidant attachment, or you do anything in your power to cling to what little support that you have at the expense of your self-respect and your self-sufficiency. Social science research says that building a strong, effective bond has the power to reverse the negative effects of childhood trauma in adults, and this process is influenced by three main things: establish, rupture, and repair of the relationship. First of all, you establish a strong, effective bond with another person. Suppose when you were a child, your parents didn't really pay attention to you or your needs, or they fulfilled your needs but inconsistently, and when there was a challenge to your relationship, perhaps your mother was feeling angry, or your father was working too late and he felt tired, and you yourself had issues going on at school, like people were bullying you, for example, and they weren't willing to listen to you, and instead they blamed you for bringing your problems up. Now this is a threat to your relationship. That's a rupture. The child loses trust, feels invalidated and neglected, and there was no repair. The child was told to go to his room, and the maid sends him an iPad, I don't know. But the rupture is not repaired. So the child internalizes this script of how relationships will go. He doesn't deserve the love and responsive care that he needs. If he seeks support, he will be rejected or abandoned or invalidated. He will be disappointed. So it's better to just do everything on his own. This is David's story. Then he meets someone called Patrick. Now David's internal script says, hey, you don't deserve love, and also will always be rejected and abandoned if you ask for support. If you get into a relationship, you'll always be abandoned. So from people, mainly because that's how people are. People are not responsive to you. People will abandon you. That's just how reality is. That's David's internal script. Now Patrick comes along and treats him like a nice person, like a human being, and does all these thoughtful things like framing the receipt of their first sale of their business together. When Alexis points out, hey, Patrick just might be into you, David finds it very difficult to imagine. But Patrick doesn't stop. He keeps showing up. Now, he establishes a strong, effective bond with David. Then comes rupture. David gets to know that Patrick was engaged to a woman, and he hid it from David. Now, the trust is ruptured. Relationship is challenged. What happens next? Well, in David's mind, now the negative internal script is repeated. Okay, this is how everything is going to go. I thought this might happen. Well, Patrick sends several olive branches, and somehow there's polite but also funny repair. And through it all, he also had Stevie, who helped him get through those troubled couple of days where he felt betrayed by Patrick. This reverses David's internal script. Okay, so when something happens that challenges the relationship, it doesn't mean that everything will be destroyed and I will be left alone. I won't be left abandoned by everyone. Not only that, when you're consistently exposed to such a secure relationship, you learn to self-regulate. You learn to cope adaptively. All those tools you were supposed to be given by your primary caregivers, you get that through this strong, effective bond. And even if that bond will be damaged or ruptured one day due to whatever the reason, and it doesn't come back, or you are unable to repair it, it's still likely you will have become more resilient through this connection. They model resilience, they model stability and security, and such secure relationships also rewrite your nervous system script. Family doesn't have to be of blood. It can be friends, your chosen family. Take the Big Bang Theory, for instance. We see a group of misfits, right? They found each other, and little by little they make space for others that are not that different from them. Penny was popular and attractive, but then again was also lonely. One of my friends hated the Big Bang Theory because he said it's always about them sitting and eating together. Having a meal together is one of the greatest bonding activities ever. A simple act of having meals together is a great ritual to feel the connectedness and unity of the family. Meal times is a great activity where you get to spend time in conversation with the others, you get to know about their day, tell stories, and you feel more of an emotional connection. Now, it doesn't have to be a meal per se, it could just be coffee or tea. So the couch in Friends, the sofa in the Big Bang Theory, or the Cafe Tropical in Schitt's Creek, those are great symbols of connections and psychological safety. Having meals together or having this ritualistic coffee time together is also great for emotional regulation. When they tell stories and you share a laugh, you feel psychologically safe. And the tea, coffee, or the meals are just third parties involved in this healing dynamic. The meal times in this Big Bang Theory, or time at the Central Park in Friends, these are rituals, also a shared activity. Rituals are repeated behaviors that mean something to you. That ritual represents a time that you carve out of your day to feel connected, belonged, and safe enough to express yourself authentically among a group of friends who you like and who genuinely care about you. In comedy series, we see this through funny dialogue, and it's even better. These series show us that self empowerment can come through relationships. In psychology, we have this concept called the dependency paradox. It says that in order for you to ultimately be autonomous, to be able to think, feel, function autonomously, you have to depend on someone first, but on a secure base or secure person. Ted is a great secure base for Alexis. The scene where he encourages Alexis to do a course, but then when Alexis also decides to finish high school, he encourages it and he comes to her graduation. It was such a heartwarming scene. It's that you go out and explore your talents, your skills, your passions, and if you feel like you failed at it or if you feel exhausted and tired, you can still come back and seek comfort in the arms of the secure base. And then when you're ready to go back to find yourself confidently, you can. Imagine Ted was dismissive. Imagine Patrick didn't show up. Imagine Patrick stopped showing up. Imagine Amy was not patient with Shelton. Imagine Mr. Rose was invalidating of Moira's outbursts. Imagine Stevie didn't find David. Imagine Phoebe was not welcomed into the group. Imagine Monica was ready to give up on Chandler because he was non-committal. The characters wouldn't have found their way. Modern family shows us that we have our differences, our flaws, our insecurities, class control, Phil's people-pleasing, Gloria's fear of judgment, Michelle's self-doubt. But they have these mirrors that reflect back love and not shame. They argue, but they also repair, and it makes it easier for them to be themselves and carve their own path. It's not the bond itself, it's how the bond changes how you do things, how you face and react to events. How do you feel about comedy shows? Is that your favorite genre? And what do you think that comedy shows teach you? Let me know your thoughts from the comments down below, and I will see you in my next video.